Okay, you can start.
Okay, ma'am. So, good evening to everyone. My name is Akash Suryavanshi, and I am the host of today's session. And I would like to thank uh, I would like to give a warm welcome to our principal, Dr. Neelam Arora, our guest, Dr. Payal Thaure, our vice principal, Dr. Vidya Bhide, our vice principal of finance courses, Dr. Arun Pujari, and other respected faculties of our Lala Lajpat Rai College for attending today's session organized by the NSS unit of Lala Lajpat Rai College on the occasion of Constitution Day, celebrating 70 years of our Indian Constitution. On on today's day, today we are also remembering the martyr of 26/11 terrorist attack. So, without further ado, Uh, I would take today's event further. So the NSS unit of our Lala Lajpat Rai College has organized a quiz competition. The each round of two rounds, each rounds of 15 questions, and time limit will be 7 minutes for each round. So the first round will be conducted now, for which the time limit is 7 minutes, and total 15 questions will be asked. So as soon as the link will be posted in the chat box, your time will start, and the link will be closed automatically after 7 minutes. So the link has been shared. I guess no. Uh, but
Akash, before that, we have to read the preamble and then we will be taking the quiz.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I would request the Siddesh Desai for reading the preamble before starting the event.
Yes, thank you, Akash. I will start. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of all the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, let's continue with the quiz. So this is the first round and of our quiz, which will conduct now, and the time limit for this is approximately 7 minutes, and 15 questions will be asked. So I would request all the participants to please fill up the quiz. Everyone, please start clicking on the link and finish the quiz within 7 minutes.
I think last 1 minute is left. So hurry up because the link will be closed now.
I guess the time is up for the first round. So let's move forward. So let me give a preface about our constitution
Akash,
before.
Akash, just a
Okay.
second, just a second. Siddesh, Siddesh, can you hear me? Siddesh, can you hear me? I just wanted to confirm the number of responses. Okay, so we have got only 26 responses. So shall we extend the time by 2 minutes? Yeah, 2 minutes more, and then we'll start with our program. 2 minutes more, Abhay. After that, please close the link. Okay. Okay, so the link is closed, I think. Okay, now till now, how many responses we got, Abhay? 37 responses. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, so Akash, please carry on with the program.
Okay, ma'am. So let me start by talking about our constitution first. The Constitution of India is the foundational law which lays the basic political structure of our country. It establishes a parliamentary democracy and republic with a federal structure. The Constitution of India embodies the vision and values of our founding fathers. It represents their thinking, social, political, and economic ethos, faith, and will. The Constitution defines the main organ of the Republic of India, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and defines their power and demarcates their responsibilities. The key features of the Indian Constitution: parliamentary system of government, federal structure, secular state, independent judiciary, fundamental rights and duties, directive principles of state policies, citizenship, and adult suffrage. So, the objective of the Constitution Day can report to us to remind all the citizens about their duties towards fellow citizens, society, and nations, to encourage citizens to take pride in the spirit of nationhood, to help in promotion of a sense of discipline and commitment towards the nation, and mobilize the energy of citizens in nation building. So now I would like to invite our principal, Dr. Neelam Arora, to say a few words about today's session. Uh, Ma'am,
Yeah,
uh,
I hope you can hear me.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this celebration of the Constitutional Day organized by the NSS unit of the college. I would like to welcome Dr. Payal, who's going to speak about the Constitution. Indeed, Constitution, one of the most fundamental and most foundational law of the country. And India's constitution is one of the largest constitution in the world, and the kind of sections that are there and the kind of rights we have, I think not many of us are even aware of it. Like the Article 14 tells you about right to equality, there should be no discrimination, all the right to equality is one of the most fundamental rights. Right, Article 21 tells you right to life, where life is not just where you are breathing and staying alive, but it encompasses so many aspects, and everything that we do is included in our part of right to life. So right to a good environment, clean drinking water, right to live the way we want, right to our body privacy, all this is included in Article 21. Over the period of years when foundation, the constitution was adopted in 1950, on 26 Jan 1950, but made and celebrated on 26 November. It has been amended over a period of time, but there is a basic structure theory which says that the basic structure of the constitution cannot be amended. It gives us our fundamental rights, and if our fundamental rights are violated, then we have Article 32 and 226 of Supreme Court and High Court, where we can fight for our fundamental rights. So not many of us know that we have these fundamental rights, and we have such a huge constitution in our country, which will which tells us how proud we are to be the citizens of a country like this, which encompasses constitution inspiration from so many countries. When B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar made this constitution, he must have referred to so many other constitutions, and it is one of the world's most enriched constitution. And I'm sure that today's lecture will throw light on what is the constitution rights and what are the aspects of constitution, and let us salute our constitution and abide by the laws and rules which are mentioned for us to be good citizens. Let us not always ask what we country can do for us. Let us also sometimes say what we can do for the country, because we the people are the citizens of this sovereign India, and it is up to us to protect this very, very wonderful documentation, which is an integral part of every Indian citizen and which will make all of us very proud. So I would suggest that, of course, it's very difficult to read the entire constitution, but there are many abridged versions. If people get a chance, even they are not law students, please read those, especially Article 21, Article 14, Article 16, Article 18. From Article 16 to Article 21 are very, very fundamental to our existence. So please read those and understand how these case laws have reframed the constitution and how we have been granted those rights and what are our duties. Everybody talks of fundamental rights, but there are some directive principles and our fundamental duties also. So we should form those fundamental duties, and then only we can truly be good citizens of the country. So I'm sure Dr. Payal has a lot to speak. Thank you to the NSS unit for organizing this wonderful program and remembering the Foundation Day. I thank you and welcome all of you once again, and hope that you will learn something very important as citizen of India from this today's Constitutional Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Neelam ma'am, for addressing the uh, basic idea of constitution towards all the participants. So now I would like to invite Ms. Kranti UK to introduce our today's speaker. Kranti ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Akash. So it's not my privilege, but I am delighted as well as feeling proud to introduce the speaker of today's program, Dr. Payal Thaure. So Dr. Payal is an assistant professor at the Postgraduate Teaching Department of Law, RTM Nagpur University, Nagpur, since October 2013. She is having 12 years of work experience in the field of law. She has worked as in charge head of the department PGTD of Law RTMNU for 6 months from May 2018 till November 2018. She is a recognized PhD supervisor at RTM Nagpur University for law faculty. Presently, 2 research scholars have submitted thesis under her supervision, and 3 PhD scholars are undergoing their research under her supervision. She has completed the Copyright X from Berkman Klein Center, Harvard X from Harvard Law School 2019. She has received the certificate of appreciation as patent expert from the Innovation Cell of Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India for the year 2018-19 for being the active member of RTM Nagpur University's Innovation Cell. She has secured first rank in the order of merit for LLM in business law in the year 2004 from RTM Nagpur University. She has also secured 8th rank in the order of merit for LLB in the year 2002 from RTM Nagpur University. She has published more than 30 research papers in various national and international law journals, conference proceedings for ex-Indian Law Institute Law Review, etc. She has currently received UGC minor research project on the topic of critical analysis of laws related to data protection with special reference to data privacy in India. and more than 100 students have submitted their dissertation under her guidance. She's being awarded PhD in November 2008 in the Faculty of Law on the subject Critical Analysis of Cyber Laws with Special Reference to Cyber Crimes by RTM Nagpur University under the supervision of Dr. Thriti D. Patel, Dean Faculty of Law, RTM Nagpur University, Nagpur. She has received Best Research Paper Award at the National Conference organized by Sinhagad Institute of Management, Pune, on the topic of future of services in January 2013. She has also received the Best Research Paper Presentation Award at the National Conference on Latest Technologies and Their Applications in Forensic Science and Digital Forensics, organized by Institute of Forensic Science, Mumbai, in February 2013. She talking about her past work experience. She has worked as assistant professor in law at Department of Law, University of Pune, from December 2011 till December 2013. She is also being invited as a resource person in various national and state level events, and she has organized and coordinated many national seminars and webinars. You know what? The list is endless. So I'm stopping here. But she is having a diverse teaching, research, as well as administrative experience. We are really thankful to Dr. Payal for accepting our invitation, and not taking much time, I would now like to request Dr. Payal Thaure to please guide our students and deliver her talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kranti. Indeed, it was too big introduction of mine, which was certainly not needed. Anyways, a very good evening to all. My warm regards to Madam Neelam, to all the Vice Principal, Madam Kranti, to the whole NSS unit, and all the participants who are attending today's celebration. I extend my wishes on the occasion of 70th Constitution Day, which we are celebrating today. Kranti Madam, how much time I have so that I can, classify my lecture into?
Around 30 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. Because the title of this particular webinar is 70 years of Indian Constitution. So what I am going to discuss here today is why we need the Constitution in the first part. Second, how we made this Constitution. And third is what are the components of Constitution. And number fourth is how in this 70 years or in this 7 decades, what all prominent changes which has taken place in the Indian Constitution. Certainly 30 minutes is not enough because we are here talking about ocean, but at least we can have a glance at it, that what all transformation which has occurred in the Indian Constitution. Now, to begin my discussion, we can take the reference of 1947 because that was the time when India, as you all know, that we got freedom from the British colonial rule, wherein we were slaves for more than 200 years. And when we mark the end of our slavery on 15th August 1947, but at that same time, we also started a new journey or a new beginning of making our nation as an independent nation. To be a slave is easy, but to make ourselves self-reliant and independent is very hard. And that is why when we received or when we achieved the freedom, the very first thought which the all the political leaders of India at that time thought is to have one such document which is going to show us the pathway and the light wherein we can achieve the true meaning of independence in India. And to do so, the very first thought which comes to the mind of all was to make a constituent assembly committee, wherein this particular committee is going to work and create a draft of the constitution, which will be eventually passed by the leaders of the state. Now, when this whole idea was generated, the very obvious choice was to make Dr. Ambedkar as the chairperson of that constituent assembly committee, wherein they were assigned with the task of framing and drafting the constitution. Now, as far as the contribution of Dr. Ambedkar is concerned, there is absolutely no denial or dilemma of thoughts within anyone, because he was the man of vision. He was the man who thought of something which people of that time could not have even think of. He was like, in my opinion, you can say that he was much, much ahead of what that particular time was there. So he was the one who initiated the drafting of the constitution, along with various provisions, along with the various facets and approaches which we need in the constitution. And then I will recommend all of you to read the last speech of Dr. Ambedkar given in the Constitution Assembly, wherein he has not only visualized the significance and importance of constitution, but at the same time he has also expressed his fear as well as the dangers of not following the path which has been mentioned in the constitution. So for him, when we say that there is this constitution, now Ambedkar has made it clear that this is the soul of India, and every Indian, at any age or of any caste or of any religion or of any race, are going to be considered and will be inclusive in this particular constitution. Now, talking about 1947, we all know that there was, a lot of prejudices which were there in the society. The society was classified into various, like casteism and hierarchies and social, cultural and social disparities. And considering all these perspectives, in order to unite and provide a single structure framework for every individual was certainly a difficult task. And when the document was opened for review, once the drafting committee was done, so Dr. Ambedkar single-handedly read all the around 18,000 suggestions which were given on that particular draft, and he has explained on each and every suggestion in the Constituent Assembly that why this particular suggestion is accepted or rejected. So his contribution was so immense and so meticulous in drafting the Constitution that today we can say that the vision what he thought in 1949 was completely and absolutely relevant in 2020. So his contribution is certainly more than what anybody else can think on this. He read around 60 constitutions from across the world, and then as Madam Nilima has rightly said, we have got the bestest constitution of the world. So when this whole thing, drafting and analysis and review was there, after a period of, you can say, 2 years, 11 months and around 8 days, on 26th November 1949, we ratified the Constitution. Now, this is the difference which I want to tell to the students, that on 26th November, we ratified. And on 26th January, we have actually effectively implemented the Constitution, which made us Republic of India. So this is the difference between ratification. So 26th November is what you all has rightly mentioned. It's a national constitution day, whereas 26th January is a Republic Day, because Constitution made us Republic of India. So our democracy has been sanctioned with the Republic structure on 26th January, because we have effectively implemented. Now, when this thing was there, the second question which we want to discuss here is what exactly we do mean by Constitution. As Akash was mentioning, that this is the fundamental document, and he has rightly said that. This is the basic document, or we can say, in legal language, we call it as a grand norm. Now, grand norm means this is something which is superior of superior. At no point of time, at no point of time and in no circumstances, we can be in a position to compromise with this document. So constitution is something which is very fundamental, and it lays down the framework that every democratic landscape required, whether it is related with the political code, whether it is related with the basic structure, whether it is related with the protection of fundamental rights or implementation of fundamental duties, or whether it is related with the governance or electoral reforms, or identifying the minorities, the suppressed and the oppressed, and providing them protection through reservation, through protective discrimination. So all these aspects are considered in this legal framework, which is called as constitution. Now basically क्या होता है ना कि जब हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहते हैं तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में से 3 लेयर में हमें प्रोटेक्शन मिलता है. पहला जो लेयर है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, जो प्रोटेक्शन के बारे में बात करता है, वो बताता है हमें कि हमें हर तरीके से हमारी कंट्री में पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम को protect karna hai. That means whatever political structure we have, like we have a well defined system wherein Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, Vidhan Sabha, President, Chief Minister, governors, and Prime Minister, all these statutory bodies are there which needs to be worked in accordance with the norms or the powers and the functions provided by constitution. Like for example, अगर हमारी राज्यसभा में 250 मेंबर्स है, सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सेज कि इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ हूसोएवर दोस 250 आर, कोई भी हो सकता है, क्रांति मैडम हो सकती है, नीलिमा मैडम हो सकती है, सिद्धेश हो सकता है, श्रुति हो सकती है, एनीबडी, बट इनके जो पावर्स है ना वो हमेशा सेम रहेंगे, उसमें आप कोई चेंज नहीं ला सकते. So constitution on one hand gives you that freedom, political freedom, wherein you can choose anybody. Now Akash has also mentioned about adult suffrage, wherein after the age of 18 we can vote to whosoever we choose. So that power is with us, but whosoever is chosen will be abide to the constitution. कि constitution ने उन्हें जो function दिया है, जो role दिया है, जो power दी है, वो उसी को follow करेंगे. So this is the first thing wherein the constitution provide us the political freedom. Now why this is required? Because see, political framework are the basic foundation of every nation. हमारा security, हमारा prosperity, हमारा growth as a nation, it all depends upon our political structure. If we are politically strong, we are recognized in the world, but if we are politically weak, now take for example of Tanzania, Somalia, or for that matter any of the third world country wherein they are politically weak, so they don't get the recognition. So when we talk of independent nation, recognition of nation theory says कि हमें सिर्फ economically strong नहीं होना है, but हमें politically भी strong होना है. But the moment you are politically strong, automatically economically strong up हो जाओगे. So that is the recognition theory, and the constitution follows that aspect, and that is why the first layer of protection which the constitution provides is for the political freedom. The second level, which of course professed and propounded by Dr. Ambedkar, that is the socio-economic development of all. Now, as I have already said that there were a lot of casteism, lot of economic disparities were there in India. So in order to curb all such disparities, or वो जितनी भी खामियां हमारे कंट्री में थी because of that British colonial rule, उसके पहले मुगल रूल्स था, उसके बाद हमारे अपने कल्चरल ट्रेडिशनल जो विचारधाराएं हमारे पास काफी सालों से हमने चला के रखी थी, तो उन सारी वजहों से जो भी हमारे बीच में गैप्स प्रिवेल कर रही थी, उन सब को हटा के सबको एक सरी के प्लेटफॉर्म में लाना, इसके लिए दो तरीके से ये एस्पेक्ट हुआ. पहला कि जहां पे हमने आर्टिकल 17 अगर आप देखोगे, देयर वाज एबॉलिशन ऑफ अनटचेबिलिटी. which was again propounded by Dr. Ambedkar, ki we should not have that concept of untouchability, the very primary reason being that you cannot exclude any citizen of India from taking part of the whatever privileges, benefits and fundamental rights which has been provided by the constitution. तो आप उन्हें हटा नहीं सकते वहां से. And दूसरी चीज, you have to provide them equality, liberty, sovereignty and of course socialistic securities, जो भी social security mechanism में आता है. तो हमें दूसरे लेवल पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ये सारे प्रोटेक्शन देता है irrespective of caste, race, religion and sexual orientations. And number 3 is this constitution provide us all the mechanism, as rightly said by Madam Neelam also, that हमारे पास कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रेमेडीज है लाइक 32 एंड 226. इनके अलावा हमारे पास फंडामेंटल राइट्स है, जहां पे अगर हमारे इंटरेस्ट, हमारे वैलिड जेन्युइन लीगल इंटरेस्ट वायलेट होते हैं तो हम कोर्ट में जाके हमारे उन राइट्स को बचा सकते हैं. सो दीज आर द 3 layers of protection which are provided by the constitution, and along with that there are various other mechanisms also jahan pe hum identification of the minorities lete hain, protection of women and children dekhte hain, ya जो भी इस शेड्यूल लिस्ट में हमें सैंक्शनिंग करना होता है. तो ये सारे अलग अलग पार्ट है. बेसिकली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बारे में हम जब बात करते हैं तो इट कंप्राइजेस ऑफ 448 आर्टिकल्स विद 12 शेड्यूल लिस्ट, जहां पे अभी तक के हमने 104 टाइम्स अमेंडमेंट किया था. द लास्ट 104th अमेंडमेंट वाज रिलेटेड टू इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन, बट प्रियम्बल में हमने अभी तक सिर्फ एक ही बार अमेंडमेंट किया है. सो ये जो प्रोसेस है ये कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस है. नाउ व्हाई दिस थिंग इज देयर, बिकॉज एक लॉ में ना एक स्टेटमेंट हमेशा बोला जाता है, लॉ चेंजेस सोसाइटी, सोसाइटी चेंजेस लॉ. And we know, since we are talking here about 70 years of Indian constitution, so certainly the political, social, economic, cultural, traditional position which was there in 1949 has seen a tremendous change till 2020. So we are technically, we are not in the same phase which we were there in 1949, and that is why we have to see to it that constitution, because it is your soul and spirit, so you have to make it, or you have to convert that document timely. You have to convert that document in such a form कि वो आपके social changes के साथ आपको accommodate करे. If suppose the constitution says that we don't encourage technological certainly, so इस वक्त क्या होगा ना कि हम शायद हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को वहां पे अप्लाई नहीं कर पाएंगे, which may not solve the purpose, and that is why we say that constitution needs to be always progressive. इसीलिए इसमें हमेशा आप देखोगे अमेंडमेंट्स होते हैं बहुत सारे. शुरुआत में there were like 395 articles and now we have 448 articles. तो इस तरीके से time and when required, there are changes which are made. So at one stroke you can say that yes, it is a strict document which needs to be applied at any cost, but at the same time it provides you a flexibility that as and when required constitution क्या करता है, आपको वो changes करने पे accommodate करते हैं. But while doing so, there is this very famous case law of Keshavananda Bharati, and as Madam Nilima also rightly mentioned, while doing so we have to see to it कि constitution में ऐसा कोई भी change नहीं होगा जो basic structure को हिला दे. Now जैसे basic structure का for example, we all have fundamental right, और आपको पता है कि we have a bicameral parliamentary democracy wherein both the houses of parliament decides and then president gives the assent कि हाँ चलो ये लॉ हम पास कर देते हैं. तो अगर कल को हमारी पार्लियामेंट ऐसा कोई भी लॉ डिसाइड करती है जो मेरे किसी फंडामेंटल राइट पे एनक्रोच करता है, तो हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ये कहता है कि बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर को आप हिला नहीं सकते. केशवानंद भारती के केस में यही कहा था कि बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर इज इंटीग्रल, एट एनी कॉस्ट. दो जो भी हमारे हाउसेस ऑफ पार्लियामेंट है, दे आर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडीज सैंक्शनड बाय कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, बट स्टिल they cannot do anything which is beyond the values of constitution, you know. So that aspect we have to see when we say that we have a constitution. अब ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या करता है ना, तो ये हमें 3 पार्ट्स में, यू नो, देयर आर एज आई सेड 12 पार्ट्स है, बट ड्यू टू पॉजिटिव ऑफ टाइम आज मैं यहाँ पे सिर्फ 3 पार्ट्स डिस्कस करूंगी. द वेरी फर्स्ट पार्ट इज फंडामेंटल राइट. Now, as mentioned by Akash also, you know, we have from Article 12 to Article 35, we have lot of fundamental rights, and those rights are designed and developed considering the need and requirement of every single individual. Though to some extent these fundamental rights are given to the citizens, but there are certain fundamental rights which are given to every person irrespective of his citizenship. For example, as madam has mentioned, Article 21. Now Article 21 is probably the topmost fundamental right which we have, wherein our right to life is protected. And in the landmark judgment of Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India, now this is another one such case which every Indian should know, because this is again very, very fundamental, and we have seen the golden rule of interpretation in this particular case. And then the court has agreed that anything under the roof of sun, you know, which is required for the survival of human being will be considered as a part of right to life. And then, you know, iska aap extension dekhoge to data privacy, आपका जो ऑनलाइन डेटा है, दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ योर फंडामेंटल राइट. सो जस्टिस पुट्टास्वामी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया की केस में उसे एक्सेप्ट किया है एज ए फंडामेंटल राइट. सो व्हाट you know, what we see here is that, you know, when we talk of fundamental rights, they are inalienable rights, means they cannot be compromised unless there is a situation, particularly Article 356 में there is this proclamation of emergency, और proclamation of emergency के बाद क्या होता है ना, सारी fundamental rights चले जाते हैं. But वहां पे भी the court has made it clear that the fundamental right given under Article 21 will prevail. बाकी सारे rights आपके चले जाएंगे उतने टाइम के लिए जब तक हमारी कंट्री में या उस पर्टिकुलर जोन में इमरजेंसी है, बट बाकी फंडामेंटल राइट्स नहीं भी रहेंगे, बट Article 21 will be there. So there are lot of fundamental rights. Another good example is equality before law and equal opportunity before law, wherein Article 14 and 15 are there. You know, so we have equality, but we have also seen that we don't want equality in its absolute sense. हमारा नोशन क्या है, बिकॉज हमारे पास इतनी डिस्पैरिटी है, हमारी कंट्री का इतना डाइवर्स और स्कैटर्ड मल्टी कल्चरल, यू नो, ऑल दिस कंपोनेंट्स है हमारे सोसाइटी के. सो वी हैव कम अप विद द आइडिया, और यू कैन से द सॉल्यूशन व्हिच द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज प्रोवाइडेड बाय मेकिंग लाइक 14(2), 15(2), 15(3), 15(4). सो ये सारे आर्टिकल्स के थ्रू हमने क्या किया है ना, वी कम अप विद द आइडिया दैट इक्वालिटी अमंगस्ट इक्वल. We cannot have equality with all. ठीक है. सो जब तक हम इक्वालिटी अमंग इक्वल नहीं लगाते, हम वो फंडामेंटल राइट को एक्सप्लोर नहीं कर सकते. एंड दैट इज व्हाई, यू नो, व्हेन वी हैव रिजर्वेशन इज ऑलवेज कंसिडर्ड एज अ प्रोटेक्टिव डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. दिस इज नॉट अ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, but it is a protective discrimination which has been given to a segment of people who has been discriminated for the long. जब तक हम उन्हें protective discrimination नहीं देंगे, you know, for that matter you can say that women and children के लिए भी हम बहुत सारे affirmative action लेते हैं. Women's को हम privileges देते हैं. डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट अगर आपको पता होगा, या सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट एक्ट है, उसमें ये चीज कंसिडर की जाती है कि ये सारे एक्ट विमेन्स के अगेंस्ट हो रहे वायलेंस के लिए है. Nobody consider that there is a violence against men or sexual harassment of men. Why? Because that privilege has been granted by the constitution, and we can have that ideology in the making of law. ठीक है. तो उस वजह से क्या होता है ना कि हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हमें ये परमिट करता है कि हम इक्वालिटी को हमारे नजरिए से देखें. एंड दैट इज व्हाई, यू नो, व्हेनेवर वी रेफर what is constitution, then the very first thing what we can say that it is a document which agrees with the concept but it disagrees with the content. बिकॉज ये जो डिसएग्रीमेंट है ना, ये जैसे जैसे टाइम बढ़ेगा उस हिसाब से इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द विल ऑफ द पीपल, नोशन ऑफ द पीपल, व्हाट आर द डिजायरमेंट्स ऑफ पीपल, वो क्या चाहते हैं उसके ऊपर वो डिपेंड करता है. As I told you, abolition of untouchability 17, उसके बाद आर्टिकल 19 एक बहुत ही प्रॉमिसिंग फंडामेंटल राइट है जो हमें सारे फ्रीडम्स प्रोवाइड करता है, कि जहाँ पे हम किसी भी ट्रेड, प्रोफेशन, मूवमेंट अक्रॉस इंडिया ये सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं. सो बेसिकली व्हाट हैपन, ऑल योर रिलीजियस राइट्स, कल्चरल राइट्स, एजुकेशनल राइट्स, राइट्स अगेंस्ट एक्सप्लॉयटेशन, ये सारा जो कंपाइलेशन है वो हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स में है. एंड फंडामेंटल राइट्स आर फंडामेंटल फॉर योर सर्वाइवल, and that is why we cannot compromise with them. These are the rights which has been granted by the state. गवर्नमेंट देता है ये राइट्स हमें, और इसीलिए गवर्नमेंट हैज टू टेक केयर कि वो सारी मशीनरीज एस्टैब्लिश करे ताकि ये सारे राइट्स प्रोटेक्ट हो. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट. सेकेंड पार्ट हमारा जो है दैट इज डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसीज. नो, ये एग्जैक्टली अपोजिट है हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स के, बिकॉज यहाँ पे आप कोर्ट नहीं जा सकते हो, दे आर नॉट enforceable rights. But as Dr. Ambedkar has rightly said in his last speech of Constituent Assembly, that if any government does not abide with the directive principles of state policy, then people will give their verdict to that government and they will be out of power. So directive principles क्या बताता है ना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, it gives the direction, और you can say एक थीम प्रोवाइड करता है गवर्नमेंट को how to govern. So all the governance, whether it is related to women, children, environment, agriculture, एजुकेशन, इन सारी चीजों से लेके जो भी पॉलिसी मैकेनिज्म्स हमें बनाना है, रेगुलेटरी मैकेनिज्म्स बनाना है, जो भी फंडिंग, स्कॉलरशिप्स जो भी जनरेट करना है, वो सारी पावर्स हमने स्टेट को दिए हैं. And state has to do it. Now, for example, if I can give you the example of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu में more than 50% reservation है, but वो क्यों justified है वहाँ पे? Because उनका directive principles जो है state law का, वो उन्हें वो allow करता है. तो ऐसा हर जगह हो सकता है. it depends कि आपकी गवर्नेंस का क्या रूल है या आपका क्या अप्रोच है, क्या आइडियोलॉजी है, and that is how directive principle works. And then the last part of the third part of our constitution is fundamental duties, which has been introduced. जब हमारा constitution बना उस वक्त fundamental duties हमारे draft में नहीं थी, but it was inserted after the 42nd amendment with the provision of article 51A, जहाँ पे every citizen has been made responsible, has been made to abide, to respect the national flag, the national struggle, freedom fighters, women, children, environment, animals, तो ये सारी चीजें हमने फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज के थ्रू वहां पे रेगुलेट करी है. अब ये जो हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है जो इतना इन सारे स्ट्रक्चर्स में और लेवल्स में बटा हुआ है, सो 70 इयर्स में इसमें क्या हुआ? एज आई ऑलरेडी सेड कि हमने बहुत सारी अमेंडमेंट्स देखी है, बट अगर हम लैंडमार्क्स देखने जाएंगे तो पहला जो लैंडमार्क मैंने जो पहले भी डिस्कस किया है कि इमरजेंसी हमने देखा है, जो 44 इयर्स पहले हमने देखा और आज तक हमने फिर से उसे नहीं देखा, बिकॉज टू सम इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज द डार्केस्ट पीरियड ऑफ इंडियन हिस्ट्री, बिकॉज बहुत सारे राइट्स हमारे वायलेट हो जाते हैं, हम कुछ कर नहीं पाते उस वक्त. बट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज अलाउड, 356 में वो पावर दिया है प्रेसिडेंट को कि Constitution can have various emergencies, whether it is due to external aggression or due to financial or political unrest, वो emergency हम कर सकते हैं. Another important contribution आप अगर देखोगे in this 70 years was abolition of zamindari. Now zamindari was the provision which was there in the pre-independent era. And as I told you, if you go and watch the last speech of Dr. Ambedkar, he has precisely mentioned the economic inequality. And in order to curb that, the very first thing which the constitution, made by, amendment was it removed that power, right to property was not included into your fundamental right. You all have right to livelihood, but you don't have right to property. Property के लिए हमें दूसरे tort law और अलग जो set of property laws है वहां पे जाना पड़ता है. But if there is a clash, then certainly constitution prevails. तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने एबॉलिशन ऑफ जमींदारी करके भी ये बताया है इन 70 years में that there will not be any economic inequality. So this is another contribution which you can say. The third contribution is introduction of right to education as a fundamental right. Again 86th amendment के बाद हमने देखा है कि there is an inclusion of article 21A जो कि राइट टू लाइफ के साथ पैरेलली चलता है, that is right to free education. Now the basic foundation of India is that we all are we all respect education. हमारे लिए हमेशा education एक भगवान की तरह होता है, and then we have goddess Saraswati and all, so that is our culture, and that is why we know that if you teach the child today, then he is going to create a good nation in future, so he is your treasure. And that is why the constitution has agreed to that norm, and we had introduced this right to education in the 86th amendment. इसके बाद there is another landmark contribution which you can say, which is again a very recent development which is there, that is 2017 Navtej Singh versus Union of India की case से हुआ था, and that is decriminalization of 377, wherein the Supreme Court has agreed that yes, we can recognize the transgender also under the purview of humans. Otherwise they were the excluded species altogether, हम उन्हें कंसिडर ही नहीं करते थे. बट अब हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अगर आप देखोगे, ये आने वाले टाइम में चेंजेस होने वाले हैं बहुत सारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, कि अभी भी है 15(4) and 15(4) gives us power to amend the constitution for women and children. But there is no single provision in the whole constitution wherein you can make a special provision for a transgender, and they are the deprived segment since so long. It took us 70 years to realize that they are humans, they belong to us, and now probably we can say that there will be some changes, some positive changes in the constitution. So ये एक बहुत important significant landmark है जहां पे हमने देखा है कि we explored the concept of gender. And to I can tell you this thing now, constituent assembly में जो लोग थे वो इतने ज्यादा समझदार थे उस वक्त. In 1949, I'm telling you, they didn't mention the word gender anywhere in the constitution, because gender is a subjective word. And I already told you कि constitution क्या करता है ना, हमें conceptual agreement देता है, but content agreement हमें कभी नहीं देता. So that is why we did not dare to define gender, because the moment we define gender हमें बहुत सारे classifications, बहुत सारे specific provisions बनाने पड़ते हैं. But now we did that. Now the Supreme Court has taken that step. So probably in the coming time we can see that. So this is again a huge transformation which we all can see in the constitution. Now apart from that, there is again there is this Shaira Banu versus Union of India, wherein we can see that there was like instant triple talaq was made an offense. So triple talaq is a provision drawn from a personal law. Personal law has the highest order of cultural relativism, right? Culturally influenced hai. But the court has taken that initiative that wherein things are going wrong, they can rectify. But unfortunately, इस transition में हमने देखा है कि now they had made triple talaq as an offense. So यहाँ पे ऐसे हो गया कि injury से और poisonous उसकी दवाई हो गई. So triple talaq is already problematic, and now if somebody gets into it तो और बहुत बड़ा उसको offense कर दिया है, instead of taking it to the other track. So these are the other perspectives of constitutional development also. It is not that the constitution is moving progressively. ऐसे नहीं होता है. कभी-कभी to strike the balance, there are various components in the society. एक जगह फंडामेंटल राइट है, दूसरी जगह डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल है, एक जगह पर्सनल लॉ है, दूसरी जगह फंडामेंटल राइट है, एक जगह इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटी है। एज पर आर्टिकल 253 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, अगर इंडिया ने कोई भी इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटी रेटिफाई किया है और अगर वो उसका मेंबर है, तो आपको उससे रिलेटेड सेम लॉज इंडिया में बनाने ही पड़ेंगे। फिर वो लॉ आपके डोमेस्टिक लॉज पे अगर इंक्रोच भी कर रहे हैं तो भी आपको वो करना पड़ेगा। वेरी गुड एग्जांपल इज WTO ने जो हमसे करवाया है इतने सालों में। सो आफ्टर 30 years we realized that we made a big mistake by signing the WTO, but now we are helpless because we have already ratified it. So इस तरीके से क्या होता है ना, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे पेरिफेरियल प्रेशर जिसे हम कहते हैं कि वो भी होता है। एंड सिंस द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज मेड इटसेल्फ दैट आई एम गोइंग टू स्टिक टू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज टू फॉलो दैट, देन दे हैव टू सी कि अगर मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ये प्रोविजन है कि इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटीज मुझे फॉलो करना है, तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वो आपको करने के लिए अलाउ करेगा। सो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन जब हम देखते हैं 70 years का, तो ये सारी चीजें बहुत ही सिग्निफिकेंटली हमें देखनी पड़ती है। एंड थैंकफुली वी हैव अ गुड सेट ऑफ जजेस, हाई कोर्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, जहां पे थरोली इन सारी चीजों के लिए डिस्कशन होता है, इस पे सॉल्यूशंस निकलते हैं। एंड you can say that in this 70 years we have seen the miracle of 70 years of democracy, because we have been so so much diverse and so much different in all our approaches and thinking and views and opinions and experiences, but still we sailed through in managing these 70 years. So that means this document has some potential. It is not something which we can easily wave off or ignore or keep a blind eye, like we don't want to follow constitution. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है। So constitution has given us lot of things in these 70 years, whether it is women and children, whether it is agriculture, whether it is related to farmers, whether it is related to solar energy, nuclear energy। आप देखोगे हर चीज के लिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में कहीं ना कहीं कुछ तो प्रोविजन है जो उसका गवर्नेंस, रेगुलेशन और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का ध्यान रखता है। So this is there. Another biggest contribution which the constitution has made is through the 42nd amendment, that is insertion of the word secular। आप सभी ने अभी प्रियम्बल पढ़ा, तो प्रियम्बल पढ़ते समय दूसरी ही लाइन में वो आता है that we all are sovereign, socialist, secular nation, we are that, but this word secular was not there. It was included after the 42nd amendment, wherein we followed both the ideologies, the ideology of dharma nirpekshita and the ideology of sarvadharma samabhav। So ये दोनों approach हमारे यहाँ पे है, which says, and that is why I say, हम culturally इतने influence है कि हम किसी को खराब नहीं कहते या हम किसी का existence deny नहीं करते, and constitution ने भी यही किया है। Constitution also said that we accept these models of secularism, and that is why we say that state will not propagate any particular religion। जैसे आप मिडिल ईस्ट में वगैरह देखते हो, they profess one particular religion, but हमारे यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है, हमारे यहाँ पे सारे religions equal है। So this is another landmark achievement of these 70 years that we have the word secular। Another thing which quickly I just want to mention here is about Mandal Commission and Indira Swani case, जहां से reservation and reservation for other backward classes and जो अभी 104 amendment आया है economically weaker section, तो इस तरीके से affirmative actions और protective discriminations जो है ना, वो हमारा constitution हमें allow करता है। Whether to some it might be like that कि हमसे हमारा हक छीन रहे हैं, but for others it is a corrective mechanism, it is an affirmative action for a passive work, जो हमने negative किया था इतने सालों में उसको हम positive कर रहे हैं। तो इस तरीके से 70 years में constitution has done lot many things, but still there are areas, जैसे मैंने कहा कि ट्रांसजेंडर्स के लिए नहीं है। अनदर बिगेस्ट लूप होल which we have in our like separation of powers theory is that the executive जो है, जैसे शुरुआत में कहा था आकाश ने कि 3 फंडामेंटल पार्ट है हमारे इसमें, जुडिशरी, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एंड जुडिशरी, लेजिस्लेटिव एंड एग्जीक्यूटिव्स। तो एग्जीक्यूटिव्स के पास कोई डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर नहीं है, जो भी डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर है ना वो जुडिशरी और लेजिस्लेटिव के पास है। इसीलिए ये जो थर्ड पार्ट है हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का वो कहीं तो वो इतना इन ट्यून काम नहीं कर पाता है। तो मे बी स्लोली इवेंचुअली यू कैन सी दैट देयर माइट बी सम चेंजेस, there might be some transformation which may occur in this executive approach also. So these are few of the transitions, or you can say transformations, which we have seen in the constitution, wherein the constitution tried to maintain the spirit and soul of an individual at every point of time. And इससे अच्छा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन शायद हमारे पास हो नहीं सकता था अगर हमारे फोर फादर्स उस वक्त उस चीज को उस तरीके से रियलाइज नहीं करते। दे इफ दे हैव उस वक्त उन्होंने उतना पढ़ा नहीं होता, या दूसरों के बैड एक्सपीरियंसेस जो होते हैं वो उस वक्त उतने थरोली डिटेल समझे नहीं होते, तो शायद वी डिड नॉट हैव दिस बेस्ट पीस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। सो we are in a better place, but because there is a development in the society, in future we may see that there are various changes which will, of course they will stick to basic structure only, but there may be some changes or additions or modifications in the constitution. So these are just a discussion, 30 minutes discussion on the 70 years of constitution. I hope I did not exceed the time. Anybody, if they have any question, they can ask.
We are taking the question answer session after some time. So
Okay. So before I end my talk, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to my dear friend Kranti, to Principal Madam Neelam, and to all the dignitaries of Lala Lajpat Rai College. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to express my thoughts on the occasion of this Constitution Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Payal. Thanks to you for accepting our invitation at such a short notice. And when all the resource person, most of the resource persons, they use this PPTs and all the technological support system to deliver their talks. I personally liked your extempore address very much, and in a very simplified manner. You have so very well explained the 70 years of our Indian Constitution, and literally whatever you explained, I was having listening to that, I was having goosebumps while listening to your talk. So thank you so much for your enlightening and insightful address, and in future also we would be inviting you. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation, Payal.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody.
I think Akash, we are now again starting with our the second round of quiz, I suppose.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So
So
let's move on.
Have you pasted the link?
Yeah, I was about to tell that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the second round of our quiz. So rules for this round is also same. There are 15 questions and you have got 7 minutes to answer those questions. So as soon as the link will be pasted, you have to join the quiz and finish it off in the next 7 minutes. So everyone start joining the link. You will have around 7 minutes for this round as well. After that, we will take a question answer session.
I think Bhide Madam is also there with us. Bhide Madam, can you hear me? Bhide ma'am, can you hear me? Okay, no problem. Akash, what is the time given? 7 minutes or 11 minutes?
7 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, 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 okay. Last 2 minutes. I think the link is closed. Okay. Okay, Akash, you please continue with your program further.
Okay, ma'am. So let's move on further. So now we will be taking the question answer session. So whatever questions any participant has, you can write it in the chat box, and uh, I will read the question. So does anyone have any questions? So we have the first one. Why was secularism added later in the constitution?
Okay, it's a good question and it's a lengthy question, but I will give you the answer in a very short manner. When the Constitution Assembly debates were going on, at that time, particularly Dr. Ambedkar and the leaders of Congress uh, uh, discussed about this aspect, and they thought that if we put this in the preamble itself, then probably we might distract ourselves with various models of secularism. किसी यानी उस वक्त उनकी सोच ऐसी थी कि उन्हें ऐसे लगा कि अगर हम शुरुआत में ही सेक्युलरिज्म लिख देंगे तो अपने आप लोग ये आइडेंटिफाई करना शुरू कर देंगे कि यस ये एक पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन को ही फॉलो करना चाहते हैं या निकालना चाहते हैं. And second, which was the basic prominent reason, was we were having lot of dependence on our cultural approach. तो हमें ऐसे लगा था कि हम कल्चरली इतने स्ट्रॉन्ग है कि हमें ये किसी को बताने की जरूरत नहीं है कि हम सेक्युलर है. But eventually whatever things and communal violence and ये जो बढ़ना शुरू हुआ, तब जाके हमें ऐसे लगा in 42nd amendment particularly आफ्टर गोलकनाथ केस ये रियलाइज हुआ कि ये वर्ड ऐड कर देना चाहिए. इंस्टेड ऑफ मेकिंग इट इम्प्लाइड, इट इज बेटर टू एक्सप्रेसली मेंशन इट सो दैट नो फर्दर discussions will be there that whether India is a secular country or not. तो उस वजह से वो उतना टाइम लगा. शुरुआत में लोग बहुत ही हाई स्पिरिटेड और टू मच रिलायंस ऑन आवर सेल्फ कंसाइंस था सबका कि हम सब बहुत ही मॉरली हम बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं. बट ऐसा नहीं हुआ. बाद में पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस हमें वो पता चला कि नहीं, हम कम्युनली भी बहुत डिस्ट्रैक्ट है. सो इट इज बेटर कि हम उस वर्ड को एक साथ प्रीएम्बल में मेंशन करें. इसी वजह से इतना टाइम लगा उस पे. What is the article for SC, ST and minority people? See, there are many. I think this is the next question, right? What is the article? See, there are many articles. Yeah, many articles in the Constitution which reflects or which are meant for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. सबसे पहली चीज तो ये हमें समझनी चाहिए कि पूरा जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है वो सभी के लिए है, irrespective of whatever caste you are belonging. Number two, if there are few people who belong to scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, then a separate affirmative action protective discrimination has been taken into consideration under Article 14 and under Article 15, particularly 15 subclause 2 and 4, जहाँ पे ये provisions बनाए हैं कि एजुकेशन में और एम्प्लॉयमेंट में हमें उन्हें कुछ privileges, it is a privilege, okay, reservation is a privilege, it is not a fundamental right, तो ये privilege हमें देना है. Along with that, if you refer to Article 30 to 36, 330 to 336, तो यहाँ पे formation of National Commission for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes से लेके उनका वर्किंग, उनका फंक्शनिंग, ये सारे एस्पेक्ट्स बताए हैं. इसके साथ साथ हमारे जो प्रोविजन है 338 339 में रिगार्डिंग पंचायत में जो वुमेन्स रिप्रेजेंटेशन वगैरह है, उसमें भी कुछ प्रोविजंस जो है वो इनके लिए दिए हुए हैं. So these are exclusive provisions which are there for SC and ST. And for minority, if you see Article 29 and 30 of the fundamental rights, jahan pe minorities, particularly Muslim minority, then Sikh minorities, तो ये सारी जो minorities है इनके लिए cultural and education rights दिए हैं, जहाँ पे they can have their institutions, academic institution, religious institutions, वो वहाँ पे उनके religious teachings भी पढ़ा सकते हैं, वो उनके culture को वहाँ पे follow कर सकते हैं. तो ये सारे fundamental right उनको Article 29 और 30 में दिए हैं. So particularly 14-15 में सबको include किया है और उसमें फिर एक clause में special provision दिया है. Whereas if you refer 29 and 30 article under fundamental right, exclusive provision has been mentioned. ठीक है? हाँ, जैन minority में नहीं consider करते, but considering their numbers and it is a जैसे रिलीजन है वो एक हमारी कंट्री में, तो मे बी उन्हें हम रिजर्वेशन नहीं देते, बट उनके लिए कुछ सैंक्टिटीज जो है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ संतारा. सो संतारा एक प्रैक्टिस है जो जैनिज्म में फॉलो होती है, जहां पे आफ्टर अ पर्टिकुलर एज अगर किसी व्यक्ति को ऐसे लगता है कि मुझे जीने की इच्छा नहीं है, आपका फंडामेंटल राइट अंडर आर्टिकल 21 कहता है कि यू हैव राइट टू लाइफ बट यू डोंट हैव राइट टू डाई. ठीक है, आप आपकी मर्जी से मर नहीं सकते, एंड दैट इज व्हाई सुसाइड, कमिटिंग सुसाइड इज स्टिल अ क्राइम इन इंडिया. ओके, तो बट जैनिज्म का रिलीजियस टेक्स्ट ये कहता है कि आपको अगर संतारा लेना है, सपोज आपके बच्चों की सबकी शादी हो गई, आपके ऊपर कोई लाइबिलिटी नहीं है, तो स्लोली स्लोली आप आपका खाना बंद कर दीजिए एंड इवेंचुअली आप एक नेचुरल डेथ में चले जाओगे एंड यू कैन डाई. सो द कोर्ट्स इन इंडिया हैज एक्सेप्टेड दैट प्रैक्टिस, बट वो सिर्फ उनके लिए है, जैन्स के लिए है. अनदर एग्जांपल आई कैन गिव इज कि अंडर द इंडियन लॉ, पर्टिकुलरली आर्म्स एंड एम्यूनेशन एक्ट और वेपन्स एक्ट में अगर आप देखोगे तो किरपान हम नहीं रख सकते बिकॉज इट इज अ वेपन, right? And that is why it has been made as an offense कि normal लोग बिना लाइसेंस के कोई भी वेपन अपने पास नहीं रख सकते. बट सिख्स को, इंक्लूडिंग सिख मेल एंड सिख फीमेल, उनको दोनों को भी ये प्रोविजन दिया है कि दे कैन हैव वन किरपान विद देम 24/7 बिकॉज दैट इज द रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस. सो इसेंशियल कंडीशंस जो रिलीजियस के होते हैं ना, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वो परमिट करता है. तो वहां पे इवन दो यू मे और मे नॉट be there under a minority, but if that is a religious practice which justifies your religion, because जैसे जैन कम नंबर में है, for that matter पारसीज, तो वहां पे ये practices allow करते हैं. What is the difference between privilege and right, and is it a good thing? Yes, this is again a very big question. There is lot of difference between a privilege and right. देखो, right ऐसा है ना कि it is irrespective of the thing that where you have born. ठीक है, and whether the state has facility for it or state does not have facility for it, state has to give you the right. So rights के साथ क्या होता है ना, compromise नहीं होता है, फिर state को वो देना ही पड़ेगा. यानी अगर right to drink पोर्टेबल वाटर है तो स्टेट को वो डू और डाई करके देना ही पड़ेगा. स्टेट कैनॉट से कि अभी हमारे पास पैसे नहीं तो हम आपको पीने का पानी नहीं दे सकते, तो वहां पे स्टेट कैनॉट बैक आउट. When we come to privilege, privileges are always conditional. If you are born into this category, then only you will be getting reservation, otherwise you will not. ठीक है, तो कंडीशन प्लेस करी है आपके सामने. और ये प्रिविलेज इसलिए क्योंकि जिस दिन स्टेट कहेगा कि हमारे पास अब पैसे नहीं है या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है या फैसिलिटी है, हम ये आपको प्रोवाइड नहीं कर सकते, स्टेट कैन रेज देयर हैंड्स और बोल देंगे कि बस खत्म, टाटा बाय बाय. तो ये प्रिविलेज के साथ होता है. सो प्रिविलेज विल नॉट कम इनटू बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, बट राइट्स आर अंडर बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर. ठीक है ना, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस है. तो हम हर चीज के लिए प्रिविलेज नहीं लग सकते. एंड दैट इज व्हाई इफ यू सी, जहां पे भी कल्चरल राइट्स ऑफ माइनॉरिटी है उसको उन्होंने फंडामेंटल राइट्स में रखा है कि आपको हम कल्चरल राइट्स करने देंगे, बट जहां पे आप इकोनॉमिक राइट्स पे आओगे, जहां पे आप बेनिफिट्स क्लेम करोगे, उसको हम प्रिविलेज में रखेंगे. क्योंकि आज गवर्नमेंट के पास पैसा है, हो सकता है 50-100 साल बाद नहीं हो, तो शायद वो नहीं दे पाएंगे, और जब वो नहीं दे पाएंगे तब आप कोर्ट चले जाओगे और कहोगे ये मेरा फंडामेंटल राइट है. तो स्टेट के पास कोई चॉइस नहीं रहेगा ना देन, कि उनके पास तो पैसे ही नहीं है. तो इस वजह से उसे वहां पे प्रिविलेज में रखते हैं, राइट्स में नहीं रखते. सो दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिविलेजेस एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स. Okay.
Does anyone have any further questions? You can write in the chat box.
I can
So I
see
guess
I can see many faculty members also attending the program. If any of our faculty members want to share something, or if they are having some question, I actually wanted Bhide madam to speak a few words, but I think she is having some connectivity issue.
she is there in the meeting, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess she's not.
yeah. Yes, I can see she's there in the meeting, but
Ma'am, I think there is some connectivity error. That's why ma'am is not able to.
yes. Okay, no problem then. Okay, I think there are no more questions now.
Okay, so I would like to invite Ms. Farhat Kazi to give a vote of thanks about today's session. Farhat,
Hello, everyone. Hello.
yes, you are audible.
Hello, everyone. The feedback form is given in the chat box. Please fill it. Okay. It's my privilege to propose the formal vote of thanks for today's webinar. Firstly, I would like to express my deepest sense of gratitude to the speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Pyre Thore, for her enlightening and insightful talk on 70 years of Indian Constitution. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your precious time and gracing this occasion. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our respected principal, Dr. Neelam Arora, for her being the source of inspiration and motivation to all of us. I would also like to thank our vice principals, Professor Vidya Bhide ma'am and Dr. Arun Pujari sir, for their constant support and guidance. I would also like to thank all our respected teachers for their participation. I would especially like to thank Ms. Jyoti Singh ma'am for all the technical support. I would like to thank all our participants for the active participation in today's webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the NSS volunteers for their tireless efforts in organizing this webinar. Thank you.
So I request everyone to fill the feedback form given in the chat box, and then